Emily Kroll versus Mark Kroll. Date and time set for a hearing on defendants denied emergency and amended emergency verified motion for ex parte relief. Appearing at today's hearing via Zoom is the plaintiff, Emily Kroll, with her attorney, Melissa Umulis, and the defendant, Mark Kroll, with his attorney, Jeffrey Norman. Norman, you may proceed.
Thank you, referee Pachorka. This motion concerns defendant Mark Kroll's spring break parenting time. Begins Wednesday, April 22. I'm sorry, March 22, when class is dismissed from schools, and through Sunday, April 2. Classes resume again on April 3. There doesn't appear to be any dispute about that based on the response to the motion, so we're good with that. She's also saying, the plaintiff is also saying in her response that she's going to comply with that spring break schedule in her response to the motion. The concern is that the plaintiff has since denied the requested safe haven exchanges on Wednesday, March 22, and that's 2 times since the filing of the ex parte motion for relief. Where we are now is safe haven is closed both yesterday and today, and we don't even know if they can still accommodate that exchange. And of course, that jeopardizes the spring break plans. There's flight arrangements and hotel reservations. Some of them are non-refundable, those kinds of things. So that was the concern. We did reach out a little bit to see if there was going to be any objection or get some reasonable assurance that there's going to be some compliance there. And did receive that after that initial motion was filed, but when those 2 denials came through for those safe haven exchanges, of course, that raised a red flag. We might have a potential problem here. Further complicating things, Mark was denied his parenting time over this past weekend. He went to safe haven for the exchange and they refused to facilitate that. The girls were there, the minor children were there, but whatever it was they said to them, it's their policy not to force these exchanges. So of course that caused additional concern. He was denied that parenting time as well. So that parenting time denial, along with 6 others for a total of 13 overnights, remain the subject of the friend of the court show cause hearing that is presently scheduled for hearing in front of you on April 20. So we'll address those, of course, at that time. Our primary concern here today is what's going to happen with this spring break parenting time. Safe haven is telling us that if there is an order stating that this exchange is to take place, they will in fact facilitate that. But again, we're concerned whether or not they can even accommodate that. So what we're looking for here today, Judge, is an order that safe haven will in fact facilitate that exchange. And if they are unavailable or cannot accommodate the parties for that exchange, that the court issues an order for an alternate exchange place. These exchanges at safe haven were the result of a stipulated order and agreement we reached at mediation. There is a backup place of the state police post on 14th Street. So that's what we're looking for here today.
Is the Michigan State Police Post alternative in the order that pertains to the safe haven exchanges?
It is. I mean, that was just kind of the backup, but that was in the event safe haven couldn't facilitate exchanges, and that was immediately following that mediation. We really didn't contemplate an alternate place other than immediately following the mediation before we could contact and arrange for exchanges to take place there. So but it is listed as potential alternate exchange place.
All right. And what date are the flights purchased for?
Mark, that's Thursday. Is that correct?
Yes, we have flights out of Grand Rapids at 7 o'clock on Thursday night, and currently the exchange is scheduled for 6:30.
Well, I think what he's saying, that's what we asked for. It was the exchange to take place at Safe Haven at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, March 22. But we haven't. Last we heard, that was Sunday at noon. Mark got a telephone call that was also declined, and that's where things stand as far as we're concerned right now. We did reach out collectively yesterday to Safe Haven to see what the status was, and we have not yet received a response.
your client sent an Our Family Wizard message to Miss Kroll. Let's take a look at that. All right, so on March 4th, Dr. Kroll wrote to Miss Kroll, and I'm looking at number 2 here. It says, I will pick up the girls directly from school on 3/23 and leave directly for the airport in GR. You will not be picking the girls up after school, and there will be no exchange at Safe Haven that evening. Did your client originally think that the last day of school was Thursday? Was that what was happening there?
That's correct.
Okay.
And that was March 4. That was plenty. I mean, we sought clarification from that and figured that out and fixed that. So that was over a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
And so, I mean, has the concern about whether or not Safe Haven would be able to facilitate the exchange for spring break, has that been an ongoing concern?
It has. The last 2 exchanges, Your Honor, the girls have whatever it is they told them then resulted in them not facilitating that exchange. And they would not share that information with Mark per their policy.
Well, I mean, that's because the girls are saying something, but the girls are actually at Safe Haven. It's not a case where Safe Haven itself, the facility, is not willing to facilitate the exchange. Is that correct?
I mean, based on their policy, that is correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. And I mean, in that email on March 4th, Dr. Kroll was asking to pick the kids up directly from school. I mean, is that, and I didn't hear you request that today, but is that, I mean, has that request been, is that no longer what he's asking for?
Well, I think so. I mean, that's up to Dr. Kroll whether or not he can accommodate that with his work schedule, seeing his patients. He is a dentist practicing here in town. And so, you know, the concept of using Safe Haven was the result of just horrible, chaotic exchanges that were taking place prior to that. I mean, Ms. Kroll's then attorney, Laura Garno, I mean, her and I worked really well together, and we agreed that, okay, that can't, what went down, the exchange that took place, 2 state troopers were involved. It was just a mess. It was up at the Chick-fil-A, and we collectively agreed that cannot happen again. And so that's where the agreement came from, that all exchanges would take place through Safe Haven. Now what we're running into is, of course, their policy. So it's just, you know, from our perspective, it's a denial of parenting time is what it is. I mean, Ms. Kroll does not have those girls physically, emotionally, mentally prepared to exercise parenting time with their father. There's no pending CPS report that is concerning Mark and his whatever may be going on there, whatever these reasons are why these girls are, you know, resisting this parenting time. But we have theories as to what those reasons are, and we'll fully explore those, of course, at trial in June. But you know, that's what we're running up against now, is all the girls have to do is show up and say, we don't want to go. And then Safe Haven doesn't make them go. So that's what we're running into now.
And you're asking basically for the existing order to be, I guess, effectuated, which requires exchanges at Safe Haven or alternatively at the Michigan State Police Post if Safe Haven doesn't have the time or availability to do the exchange?
That's correct.
Do you have any reason to believe that an exchange at the Michigan State Police Post would be more effective as between the 2 options of the police post and Safe Haven? I
think so, because if Mark has an order and there's an issue, I think that the state troopers, if they were involved at all, would, you know, help facilitate that exchange as well. So,
and I mean, do you think that would be a more effective venue than, well, you don't even know if Dr. Kroll can get the kids after school tomorrow, do you?
Well, Mark, what do you think? I mean, let us know what you think. Is that a possibility? Because I that is something I have always encouraged. I mean, that seems to
make somebody that can pick them up. I don't know that I personally can pick them up. So I've got a full schedule of patients. I'd have to move stuff around. I had Thursday afternoon. I'd blocked my afternoon off already and wasn't seeing patients that day in preparations to leave and in preparation to pick them up. So I can see what I can do, but I can definitely have somebody there to pick them up, but I don't know that I can guarantee at this moment that it can be me.
And Mr. Dorman, do you have any reason to believe that that would be a more effective method of somehow getting the exchange to happen than having it happen at the Michigan State Police Post on the 23rd?
Me personally, Judge, yeah, I always encourage my clients to do those parenting time exchanges using the school schedule and pick, one parent drops the children off at school in the morning, the other parent picks them up after school. It's a very effective way to do seamless exchanges. Except for Mark's busy schedule as a dentist, I have encouraged him to do that as well. So yes, I agree with you, Your Honor, that would be better. Mark, do you have something to add there?
There has been a time when we scheduled that though, and they were taken from me. The kids were pulled out of school before I went to go pick them up.
That's
so we
true.
have had an issue with that as well.
I had a Friday
that I was supposed to pick them up, and Emily went and pulled them out of school 2 hours early without telling me and left town with them.
And we will address that on April. Yeah, we will address that on April 20, Your Honor.
So, all right, thank you. Was there anything else, Mr. Norman?
Nothing from our side, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Emulis?
Yes. So just to start off with the dates of the spring break parenting time, there is no dispute regarding when Dr. Kroll's spring break parenting time is to occur. Dr. Kroll initially proposed to pick the kids up from school on March 23rd, which caused some confusion regarding the dates of the exchange. My client never indicated that she was not going to cooperate with spring break. She asked to clarify with me prior to responding. And so I reached out to Mr. Norman last Wednesday, which was March 16th, and again confirmed via email that we were all on the same page, that Dr. Kroll's spring break parenting time is to occur from March 22nd until April 2nd. The exchanges are to occur through Safe Haven. I requested that they follow up with Safe Haven at that time to confirm that they were available for the exchanges. My client has not since that time communicated to Safe Haven that she will not cooperate with the exchange. That's simply not true. And
Well, that's not what's being alleged. What's being alleged is that the kids are saying something at Safe Haven, and that's causing the exchange to not happen.
I'll get into clarification on those following this. However, I reached out to Autumn Slutter yesterday via email. I copied Mr. Norman on that communication, again confirming that we need Safe Haven to facilitate the exchanges on March 22nd and April 2nd. And so I'm awaiting a response from Autumn. This narrative that Ms. Kroll is interfering with Dr. Kroll's parenting time is not true. And it's not supported by any of the mental health professionals or the Safe Haven staff that are involved in this case. I've reviewed the Safe Haven exchange reports. I have them here available to pull up for the court to review if you would like. There is a pending parenting time violation for an exchange that took place on January 19th of this year. Ms. Kroll was present with the children at Safe Haven for that exchange. It is well documented in that report that Ms. Kroll was encouraging the children to go with Dr. Kroll. Safe Haven staff were encouraging the children to go with Dr. Kroll. It is Safe Haven's policy not to force the exchange if children are indicating they do not feel safe going. That is what occurred. It was not my client denying parenting time. And again, that report lays out the efforts that Ms. Kroll made to encourage them and that Safe Haven staff made to encourage them. Following that exchange, my client was so concerned about not complying with the court's order that she reached out to Dr. Kroll multiple times via Our Family Wizard that evening, immediately following. So the exchange took place, it was supposed to take place at 6:30. My client sent 2 messages to Dr. Kroll via Our Family Wizard at 7:03, which he viewed, stating I will be available to drop the kids off at your apartment this evening. I understand it's your parenting time. She was willing to comply with the parenting time, even though it didn't occur through Safe Haven because of their policy. Dr. Kroll chose not to respond to those messages. He did not respond to her text message that evening, and he did not respond to her phone call that evening. She made every effort to cooperate with that exchange. There was another exchange that we have a parenting time denial pending, which was for Dr. Kroll's parenting time from March 2nd to March 5th. The children were, Elena was sick that week. Ms. Kroll reached out to Dr. Kroll prior to the March 2nd exchange to offer to swap weekends because Elena was ill. He refused. Elena was seen by her pediatrician on March 2nd. The pediatrician was concerned about the severity of her symptoms, and the pediatrician contacted Safe Haven via doctor's note to let them know that Elena was vomiting, had a high fever, was extremely ill, and it is Safe Haven's policy not to go through with the exchange if you have a child that's very ill and obviously highly contagious. It was not my client denying that exchange. So again, it's the frustration is this narrative keeps being presented to the court that my client is not cooperating, where all of the evidence suggests otherwise. And I actually spoke to the children's therapist, Michelle Newman, just yesterday about what's going on. And Michelle indicated that she was working with Dr. Kroll and the kids last year. She gave him a number of tools to help with his communication with the children, things to say and not say, things to do and not do. And that was not followed through with by Dr. Kroll. And it's created this situation that we're dealing with now, which is the kids do not feel comfortable going to parenting time. And they're voicing that to Safe Haven staff, as Michelle has encouraged, not my client, but the children's therapist. And so I spoke with her about another communication, a session that occurred with Dr. Kroll and Olivia just a week or two ago, where Olivia had requested to have parenting time with Dr. Kroll just on her own without his girlfriend present for that weekend. And in the presence of Michelle Newman, Dr. Kroll reported that he was not agreeable to that his girlfriend would be present, and that he was advised to have her present as a witness. And so this is the kind of issue that's coming up again and again, is that Dr. Kroll is not validating their feelings. He is not following through with the recommendations of their therapist. And we are experiencing these difficulties with the exchanges as a result. And we have a custody evaluation pending right now. So obviously our hope is that we'll receive this custody evaluation report and that there will be recommendations about how we should proceed and how we should address this and what's going to help make the kids feel more comfortable at the exchanges. But my client has done everything she can to encourage the girls. She wasn't even present at the exchange last week. So she's tried to take herself out of the situation and have somebody else facilitate the exchange through Safe Haven. It is not my client that is creating this issue. And so I spoke with Michelle again yesterday during our call and asked if she had any suggestions about what we could do to help move forward. And her suggestion was that there be a break from the parenting time and that Dr. Kroll and the kids focus on their family therapy with Karen McCarthy. That's obviously we're not here for a hearing today. We're not presenting evidence on that today. That's not what we're requesting, but I just want to inform the court that this is what is going on, and this is what the mental health professionals are seeing. Safe Haven staff is observing that Ms. Kroll is encouraging the children. And so this narrative about concerns with Ms. Kroll denying parenting time is just simply not true. For that reason, I mean, I do think it's necessary to have Safe Haven involved in the exchange for spring break. That is what the current order states. We aren't in agreement with deviating from that order. If Safe Haven isn't available and the order provides that the state police post is a backup, then Ms. Kroll will comply with that for purposes of the March 22nd exchange.
Well, in paragraph 9 of the amended motion, why does it say in paragraph 9 that plaintiff mother also declined the Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023 Safe Haven parenting time exchange?
She didn't. I sent an email the day prior to that.
Your Honor, that is not true.
Motion being
Yes, she
filed,
did.
and that's why I'm asking for attorney fees and sanctions in connection with this. This is a waste of the court's time and resources. We're here today so that Dr. Kroll can further this narrative that my client is interfering with the exchanges, which is simply not true. And my frustration comes from the fact that I confirmed with Mr. Norman in writing on March 16th that my client would have the kids present at Safe Haven for the March 22nd exchange. And then the day later, we get an amended motion saying that my client isn't complying.
Your Honor,
Does
can I
either party
respond-
have any proof to support their competing claims here?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I didn't hear that.
I
Does
do.
either party have any written, documentary proof to support the competing claims when it comes to that paragraph 9 of the amended motion?
So all we have is, I have a voice message from Safe Haven. That was the first time that it was denied. So I want to point something out. Ms. Umulus said that she responded on Wednesday, March 16, prior to the ex parte motion being filed. That's not true. It was Thursday, March 16, after the ex parte motion. Says, if you look at her exhibit, she even says, I would have appreciated a courtesy call if I filed that ex parte motion. Well, I did that. I called her twice and I sent her an email 2 days earlier and I didn't get a response.
What?
So,
Well,
Hold on, I did not interrupt you.
Oh, yeah, let's let Mr. Norman take his turn.
So as far as evidentiary proof, we have the one voicemail that I can try to play for you over my computer. I don't know how that works with Zoom. I have that one. That was the first denial. I get her response, email response after the motion was filed. I contacted Mark and I said, sounds like they're willing to comply with Safe Haven. Call him back and try and reschedule it. And Safe Haven told him, well, we don't typically do that, but in this instance, we'll try. And then Mark got a telephone call, noon on Sunday, that Emily denied or declined that Safe Haven exchange on March 22 again. I do not have any evidentiary proof. They're closed yesterday and today. We can't get it. We reached out to Autumn. Mark spoke with Autumn yesterday, but she couldn't help him because he reached her at home. So
All right.
that's what we have. But Your Honor, I've been practicing law in this circuit for 25 years. And I've never been accused of filing a false statement with the court, ever. And I take exception to that.
Ms. Umulus?
I didn't state that I didn't respond. I responded prior to the filing of the ex parte motion. Mr. Norman filed an ex parte motion last Tuesday. I emailed him on Wednesday confirming the exchanges. An amended motion was filed on Thursday after he received my email confirming the exchanges.
Check
And
the
that
date.
was what I,
That's wrong. I filed it on
or
Thursday.
I'm sorry,
The
you filed
amended
it on
was
the
on
16th.
Friday.
Okay, I have my date. He filed an ex parte motion. I responded in writing
Correct.
via email,
That's
confirming the dates for the exchanges. Following my response via email, an amended motion was filed, again indicating that my client was not willing to comply with the Safe Haven exchange. Without any follow-up email from Mr. Norman asking whether this was accurate, what his client was reporting regarding Safe Haven, or the voicemail. I do have an email from my client to Safe Haven from yesterday, Monday, stating that Justin from Safe Haven had contacted her on Sunday at noon regarding the exchange date and time. She did not, she stated to Safe Haven that she wasn't against the exchange happening on Wednesday and needed to verify the date with her counsel.
I mean, I understand that. So, I mean, this hearing got set as a result of the original ex parte motion, not the fact that there was an amended one wouldn't have changed the fact that this hearing was scheduled by Judge Elsenheimer. So that ex parte motion was filed on March 16th. And I just heard from Mr. Norman that on the Sunday prior to March 16th, his client had been informed by Safe Haven that Mr. Norman, go ahead.
Yeah, it was just 2 days ago, Your Honor. It was after. So, I mean, you have to look at this from our perspective. So I don't reach out, try to find common ground, don't get a response. I understand Ms. Eulis was busy and that happens, but the clock was ticking. We were running out of time. Safe Haven was closed on Monday and Tuesday, and we needed some resolution. So I appreciated her email that, hey, we're going to comply. That's fine. But then after the fact, we received notification that Ms. Kroll declined that Wednesday, March 22, Safe Haven exchange. I get the response from Ms. Eulis. I encourage Mark to reach out again. He does that. Then on Sunday, 2 days ago, what's the date? The 19th? Sunday the 9th, is today the 21st? Yeah, Sunday the 19th, he gets a call at noon saying it was declined again by Ms. Kroll. I don't know what else to do.
Go ahead.
It was not declined. All Ms. Kroll communicated to Safe Haven staff was that she wanted to verify with me because we had this hearing pending, because there had been confusion about the dates. She never declined the exchange.
I'm not going to be able to get to the bottom of that question without somebody from Safe Haven.
Correct.
But the bottom line is that, I mean, as far as an order from this hearing, the proposed order that you submitted, Mr. Norman, says that defendant shall arrange for and plaintiff will cooperate with Safe Haven exchanges after classes dismiss on the 22nd and also on April 2nd. Are you asking for something like a different verbiage that also incorporates the alternative if necessary, or just exactly what you're looking for here?
Correct. Yes, that's correct, Your Honor. Because on Friday, we thought Safe Haven would be fine. We received that email correspondence from Ms. Eumelis that there was going to be cooperation with the Safe Haven exchange on that date. But then that was Friday. And then 2 days later on Sunday, Mark gets notification that it was declined. That's the notification he received from the Safe Haven. I mean, we don't know what Ms. Kroll's response to them was, but it resulted in that telephone call to Mark. It wasn't a voice message. It was a direct telephone call from, do you remember who it was, Mark? Your mute's on.
Justin called me and said that no, she declined and that we were going to be keeping the 6:30 on Thursday night is what he told me.
And then that would result in him missing his flights.
Yeah, as of right now, the only order that we have is 6:30 on Thursday night. It has not been changed with Safe Haven.
Okay, and so yes, I would ask for some sort of an amendment that if Safe Haven cannot accommodate that Wednesday, March 22, 6:30 exchange, that it take place at the State Police Post on 14th Street. So, and that's an amendment since Friday. We didn't know there was nothing we could do about it since we learned this on Sunday. So we don't know if they can accommodate us.
Okay, so it sounds like Ms. Kroll is agreeable to that. So I will, and I mean, as far as what Safe Haven communicated to Dr. Kroll, I really can't make a finding regarding that one way or the other without hearing from somebody from Safe Haven. So, I mean, based on what was represented by Dr. Kroll, that there were some legitimate concerns as to whether or not Ms. Kroll would be willing to facilitate the Safe Haven exchange based on what he had been told. Apparently he'd been told that twice. The first time was prior to the filing of the ex parte motion. I'm not, I mean, taking that at face value, and that's what I'm choosing to do right now because I have no reason to believe otherwise. Then this was a motion that was filed for, I think, legitimate purpose, and I will grant the relief requested. Mr. Norman, if you would please prepare the order, and if you could, well,
Okay, so there's no, we would like to have an order in hand.
you want an
obviously.
order immediately. So, okay, so I'll issue the referee recommendation in order.
Okay,
Ordering that essentially the parties comply with the existing order regarding safe haven exchanges, and that if safe haven is not available, that the Michigan State Police Post be utilized as a backup for the exchange that is to occur after classes dismiss on the 22nd. Is that what you're looking for, Mr. Norman?
is that correct, Mark? That's what you want, right? Your
Yeah,
mute's on.
I mean, if we can do, we've been doing 6:30 at Safe Haven, if that's available, or if you guys, however you guys want me to do it, I'll make it work. So whatever time works well, and I'll make it work with my schedule to pick them up from either school or Safe Haven, if whatever.
Maybe I should leave a timeout so there's maximum flexibility.
That would probably be good, because if they have somebody during that slot, it's not a normal slot that we're in. So,
Right. Okay.
Is there anything that can be said by the court to help facilitate, to make sure that the transfer actually happens, so that they don't go and?
No, I'm not, look, and I mean, I'm not casting aspersion on Miss Kroll today.
understand.
I'm not here to make any finding that she's violated any order whatsoever.
That's fair.
Frankly, I'm ignoring the narratives. I'm trying to just get an order in place that's going to get spring break going. And I'm not making any finding that this motion was filed for an improper purpose, because I haven't heard from anybody from Safe Haven. So I'm sure I'll hear a lot more as this case goes forward, but that's where I stand today on this case. And I'll go ahead and grant the motion, and I'll get a recommendation out today to that effect. Anything
Thank
else,
you, Your Honor.
Mr. Norman?
Nothing from us. Thank you.
Mr. Umulus?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.